Okay, so Dash Amigos arrives on the Nintendo Switch, and this one it's trying to combine racer elements with party game sensibilities. Now, should you add Dash Amigos to your collection, does this break the trend of nearly always terrible party games and actually provide a fun experience? Or should you just run away as quickly as possible? Well, hit subscribe, hit like, leave us a comment below letting us know what you think of this one, and with that, let's jump in. So Dash Amigos is a racing game with no car, kart, vehicle. Here, you're on foot, racing your way through a range of game modes over 4 different worlds. Combined, these worlds end up totaling 12 different tracks. Now, when it comes to the tracks themselves, it's not simply, a plain racetrack, but more in line with a kart racer, meaning you can expect to find obstacles. They can be an absolute pain at times, in fact, but in a good way. There's shortcuts and even the occasional enemy that's going to chase you around. When it comes to the 12 tracks, we also get a decent selection here, and they really are challenging enough to keep even the best of you on your toes. My only issue, I would have liked more, just a few more tracks. It would have really helped me with the longevity. We could get through all 12 in one sitting, maybe pushing that number up to, let's say, double that, or maybe 16. It'd want me to return more often with a group of friends and pick up from where we left off. Now, controls, and they are simple, in fact, just 3 inputs here. The joystick or the D-pad to move, then just 2 more buttons, one to use a weapon, one to discard it, that's it. They work great, and overcomplicating them would not have been necessary, so this completely makes sense. With these controls, I will say they can take a little getting used to at first. They can be a bit twitchy, but once you do get them down, they work really well for the gameplay, and that's because the twitchiness, it actually adds to the excitement of the gameplay. Now, Dash Amigos, when it comes to game modes themselves, like any game within the genre, it has a decent amount of them for you to jump between. They split them here across single player and multiplayer, where they are exclusive to each. Now, I will say the best modes, they're reserved for multiplayer. It is a party game after all. Let's start with single player, and here it's restricted to just 2 game modes, time trial and challenge. Time trial, it's, well, just that, get a top time and see if it gets you into the gold, silver or bronze medal position. I will say this was surprisingly though more addictive than I actually expected. They're not easy times to beat, that's for sure, and I did find myself going back for just one more go, just so I could shave, a few more seconds off my best time and get that damn gold medal. If I did have a complaint, I would have loved to have seen an online leaderboard here with this mode, just so I could show off those medals and show off those best times. Then we get challenge mode, and this is essentially different ways to play these tracks, but leaning more towards the weird and creative side of things. Fed up of running for the best time? How about running away from enemies stampeding towards you? Or even how about controlling 2 different characters at once with 2 separate Joy-Cons? That was a ton of fun. I love that one. The challenges, they're simple in idea, but in execution, they're a clever way to give more to that single player focused community, and it might just draw them in. But that's it, that's single player, not a ton of content as I say, but some surprisingly addictive and challenging scenarios to try to beat your way through. It should give you at least a few hours of entertainment. Okay, so now let's talk about what really counts for a party title, and that's multiplayer. And here you'll find an additional 3 modes. First up, you've got race. It's just that you race against your competition with up to 4 local players. Not AI, not online either. Yes, we'll get to that. While racing though, you're going to be also trying to take them down with weapons littered around the tracks found in piñatas. Next up, we have battle mode. This one, it's a ton of fun. It's a typical arena multiplayer battle. You run around, you chase each other, you have weapons in hand, think burrito missiles, think turning each other into avocados and chasing each other with hammers. It gets crazy. It can be absolutely manic, but I think this for me was my go-to mode. So the final mode, that's tournament. It combines these 2 other modes into a short stream of one mode after the other. Tournament. It can be nice to add a little bit of variety instead of, constantly leaving to go to the menu, choosing the next option. It adds nothing new, it just kind of gives you an opportunity to play a few tracks at a time and announce a winner at the end of it all. So overall, single player and multiplayer, they are fun, deeper than I expected in fact, but they both have 2 key problems for me that I think would have been game changers for Dash Amigos. First up, with single player, I know it's not the focus, but some AI competitors and a race mode, it would have just elevated that mode entirely. It would have been awesome. It would have added a level of depth that could have, drawn a single player audience in for sure. Then with multiplayer, this is my big one. I referred to it earlier. Here we have no online play at all. Now, yes, before you say it, I know the focus here is couch co-op, I don't deny that, but why they wouldn't do this and give us that option, I don't know. The main reason I say this is the gameplay, it is suitable for any age group. Kids are more likely to use couch co-op, but I'm sure there's a lot of adults out there like me who would want to jump online and play this with their friends when they're looking to, just chat with their friends on a microphone and turn their brains off a bit. It's just such a huge component of gaming nowadays. I don't understand the omission here at all. It's a big miss for me. Okay, so let's talk graphics, and I've got to say, well, I've got to start with this. It's incredible how good this game looks when you factor in it was made by a team of just 2 people. I love the graphics, it's just that simple. Here, bright colourful worlds are filled with bigger than life characters. Simplistic, yes, but they are bold. This one is presented from an isometric style angle, and it works really, really well. You can see upcoming obstacles, you can see competitors, you can see anything that might be chasing you. You always feel like you know what is happening, which is great for a game that can, quite honestly, frequently feel chaotic. This then, it spills over to the 12 tracks too. There's just a ton of variety here to keep things fresh. And that is also in part thanks to the 4 creative worlds that they belong within. They each bring and add their own themes, and that's a really nice, easy way of mixing things up. It also helps that the tracks are extremely fun too. Not one of them here let me down. Next, on the tracks and the arenas themselves, these are alive. There's weapons placed in pinatas, all scattered around. You can expect to see stampedes chasing you with, the expected visual effects kicking up dust, so on, from cartoons. Avocados, I mentioned them running around the screen, and then some really well-designed obstacles to keep things exciting. Visually, the tracks, the world, there's a lot to like here, and I'm a big fan of it. Then the characters, all 4 of them, they're completely unique, and they look like they were ripped straight from a budget Pixar. That might not sound like a good thing, the word budget in there, but that's a total compliment. Who doesn't want to be referred to as Pixar? Here you're going to find Pedro, Lily, Mariachi and Chompster. Each of them also, to add a bit of variance, has different outfits available to them. They do nothing obviously for the game or the gameplay itself, and these things I don't normally care about, honestly, but in multiplayer party titles I'm okay with it. A little customization never hurts, and this was a fun way just to mix things up. Again though, here, like track count before it, I just wanted more. For a 4-player game, 4 playable characters is pretty limited and stingy. It would have been nice to have seen, maybe double this just for a little more variation and options when it came to that selection screen. So overall, graphics outside of the character count, they're fantastic. They're bright, colourful worlds filled with unique structures, enemies, interesting track designs. They even throw in some really nice visual gags that matches the game's somewhat weird, but I love it, the great sense of humour. So last up, and we've got audio, and not too much to say here. Music, it's repetitive, but in no way offensive. It matches the visuals and the excitement. Weapons then, they have a nice variety of sound effects to go along with them. And this then, it's all topped off with some limited but entertaining supporting dialogue. Overall, for audio, it's in no way, a masterpiece, that's for sure, but would you really expect that? What we do get here though, for the most part, is implemented really well without overstaying its welcome. Okay, so that's it. Overall, I had fun with this one. Looking at this game separately as either a single player or that multiplayer experience, it would get obviously 2 very different scores. But I want to approach this one as it's intended. It's a party game with a bonus single player mode thrown in. I will say overall, both modes they could have done with just a little bit more feature-wise. Single player, as I said, add the AI, add races. And then with multiplayer, we want online play. This game is just too fun to be restricted to when we have people around to get the opportunity to really play it. If I could change anything with this one, I would probably actually just strip out that single player content entirely and focus purely on multiplayer here. Add that online component, and at that point I think we could be onto something pretty special and unique here. Design wise, they did all the right things for me. This isn't, a throwaway party game like so many out there. It's not a collection of crappy mini games either. That's always a good thing. They focused on just one core gameplay mode, and for the large part, it's worked really well, and it just feels optimized, and that's what you get when you really hone in and focus on just one thing. Before we get to the scores, I'm going to say it again. This one, it was made by just 2 people, guys by the name of Ant and Ben, and that's pretty incredible if you ask me. Also, they're English. I might live in America, but yeah, bonus points for that. Okay, so before you score me in the comments, I'm gonna say now I was joking. Just gonna put that out there before I see a wrath of abuse. Don't worry, I don't cheat on my scoring. Today, with the lack of online play, a somewhat disappointing number of characters, and limited track count, it still can't hurt this one, and it's just pure fun when you really get into it. With that, I'm awarding this one a 7 out of 10. It's good, I smiled almost the entire time, I just had fun, and I'm pretty sure that was always the intention. Now, will I be going back to it? Only when I have people over, unfortunately, and that to me is what really lets it down the most. If you're looking for local multiplayer fun though, this one I'm confident saying you're not going to be disappointed. Hit like, hit subscribe, let me know in the comments below if you're picking this one up or have any questions I can answer for you, and I'll see you all on the next Gaming X.